I can give you a COVID ticket if you want. That's what we're doing. There's no section 35 here at the moment. It is COVID tickets. Alright? Do you want it's £100.
So you don't get dispersal tickets, they give you a COVID ticket.
Not when this building
So they're asking me to leave. Can I just make this one statement to the public, yeah? They won't give me a dispersal ticket, but they'll give me a COVID ticket to get out of here. God bless you, Wells. You know why I come out here? Show the truth. All the media are out here next to one another and they're doing a fake narrative. God bless you all. See you later.
What's going on with Julian right now? He's committed no crime morally, ethically or legally. So, you know, for him to be locked up by the say-so of a certain country, it's just not on, it's not fair. It could happen to any one of us. Anyone could be just locked up and persecuted. And what he exposed of the war crimes in a small area of Afghanistan and Iraq is actually millions, hundreds of millions of people that have been killed and displaced, which is more than what COVID has affected. The whole world is talking about COVID, and it's affected less people than what Julian's actually exposing just one of his pieces of work. So for me, it's important to be here because it's an important cause. It's fighting for people's rights, human rights, the rights of the journalists, for everyone, and for free speech. And it's unjust what they're doing.
Yeah, he thought it was a illegal.
There's a lot of people saying we be
You're right.
Hello, guys. There's going to be statements. So we've recently heard that there's not going to be extradition. This is a ruling that we welcome very much. There's going to be statements from Stella and Christian Hrafson later on. We're still waiting on bail, but for now I introduce John Reese, who is the Don't Extradite Assange campaign head. So welcome, John.
Thanks very much. Well, that is incredibly good news that's come out of the court today. But many of you won't have been able to watch the proceedings, so just let me explain to you what has and has not happened. First of all, the vast majority, I would say 95% of this judge's judgment was to uphold the prosecution's case for extradition. She refused extradition at the last moment, in the last words of her judgment, because she accepted that Julian Assange was a suicide risk and that if he was put under special administrative measures in the United States prison system, that would be an oppressive act. And on that basis, she refused extradition. What's going on at the moment is this. First of all, the United States are going to appeal this decision, and so the decision will be taken to a higher court, I expect, and we will have to fight this fight all over again. But at the moment, Edward Fitzgerald and Julian Assange's lawyers are talking to him so that they can prepare a bail application. So that will be heard in 45 minutes' time in this court. So please, do celebrate that the American prison system is so bad that even this judge wouldn't send Julian Assange into it. That's where we stand. That's where we stand today.
It's a moral victory to begin with, John. Well done, Troy.
This is a very emotional day for those of us who have worked with Julian for years and supported him for all these terrible, dreadful times. We are delighted that he is soon going to be a free man again. We heard today arguments from a judge which were deeply concerning. We heard that it is possible for people to be extradited from the UK on political grounds, that there is no bar to that. And that is something that ought to deeply concern all of us. And I hope that Parliament will revisit the legislation that was passed in the post-9/11 panic that removed the protection for people suffering political persecution from being prosecuted by other governments. We have a judgment which still says that the UK can take that the United States can take anybody, any journalist, out with their jurisdiction and prosecute them for telling the truth about American war crimes. That aspect of the judgment, deeply, deeply concerning. But all of that is for tomorrow. Today we are swept away by our joy at the fact that Julian will shortly be with us. We have a judgment which I think makes an excuse to deliver justice, an excuse based on the appalling conditions in American prisons, an excuse based on the effect that would have on American mental health, and perhaps a sign that the authorities are not prepared to follow through the persecution and destruction of a man for political reasons. And I'm delighted that this has been done. I'm delighted we have seen some humanity at the end of the process. It doesn't really matter, in a sense, how the justice has been reached, even if it's been reached by a peculiar process. We've seen a whole series of cases where extradition to the United States has been avoided on psychiatric pretexts, whereas the truth is that it's a recognition that a deeply flawed system of persecution should not be enacted by British courts. The judge has indicated that Julian will probably not be with us today. The American government has indicated that it's going to appeal the judgment, but there is a very good chance that Julian will be allowed out on bail pending the appeal, and I'm certainly very, very hopeful that we will have him walking with us this week. Thank you very much.
I want to thank you, all of you, for being there, supporting the freedom of expression, supporting Julian Assange, the man, the journalist, the activist, the freedom fighter. This is a victory of all the people who never gave up. The British judicial system wanted to save the face today. For those who were inside listening to the judge, it was like listening to the prosecutor's statement to begin with. If it's not for the very, very fragile health condition of Julian Assange, he will be already extradited. Every journalist should be concerned about what was said today in court, because the political arguments provided by the United States were upheld by the British judicial system. I repeat, it's only the doctor's assessment of the fragile health condition of Julian Assange that have saved him from extradition. The judge had to recognize the appalling, the oppressive conditions of the US prison system under special administrative measures for espionage cases, and the risk of Julian going for suicidal if he is extradited. That was the only thing that stopped that. So be aware that freedom of expression is still under attack. If it was not for the health condition, Julian will be extradited. Thank you, all of you. This was a case not only about freedom of expression, it was also a case about human rights. It was a case about the right for political asylum. And I want to say something. I feel very proud for my country, protecting Julian Assange for so many years.
Bravo.
Against all international pressure.
Bravo.
And I feel ashamed about the decision of the Ecuadorian government in 2019 to give up and to hand Julian over to the Americans and to the British. Well, let's hope that Julian will be walking free as he should and keeps defending himself in freedom. Too much damage has been already done. Who is going to compensate him for 10 years of persecution, of defamation, of calling him hacker, of calling him rapist, of treating him as a criminal? This is the world upside down. The war criminals in impunity, the ones who reveal the crimes, are still persecuted. But let's celebrate today this victory. This victory belongs to all of you. Thank you.
I'm Rebecca Vincent, the Director of International Campaigns for Reporters Without Borders. We have systematically monitored these entire extradition proceedings in February at the Woolwich Crown Court, in September at this court, and then today. We're the only NGO that has done so in the face of severe restrictions imposed by this court. We welcome today's decision. We are relieved that Mr. Assange will not be extradited to the United States. We share concerns about his health and his mental health. We have been highlighting this for quite some time, that he has been vulnerable, that we have stated, and I'll repeat today, that his extradition was a possible matter of life or death. So in this regard, this was the right decision. But we were concerned by many other elements of what we heard this morning. It is very clear that on substantive grounds, this country would have handed Mr. Assange over to the United States to face trial there. We disagree with the judge's assessment that this case was not politically motivated. We disagree with her assessment that it was not about free speech. We remain convinced that Mr. Assange has been targeted for his contributions to journalism. As we all know, the publication of the leaked information informed extensive public interest reporting. The public had a right to these stories, and the public still has a right to these type of stories. We're concerned that this decision leaves the door open for further prosecutions in this regard. If this happened to somebody that did not suffer from the mental health issues that Mr. Assange suffers, they could easily be handed over. Somebody else could just as easily be made an example of in the same way. So regardless of the fact that he will now not go to the United States, a clear signal has been sent that the arms of the US can reach everywhere, that journalists everywhere have to be a bit concerned about what they publish, particularly related to national security issues pertaining to the United States government. I would have liked to see a stronger position from this court, and indeed the UK government, in support of press freedom, of freedom of expression, of human rights in this regard. So we continue to make a point on the broader principles here, and note as well that the Espionage Act must be reformed. It lacks a public interest offence. If anybody else is pursued in this way, they cannot adequately defend themselves. No publisher, no journalist, and no source. And here too in this country, the Official Secrets Act lacks a public interest offence. So until these broader issues are addressed, journalists remain at risk in this country, in the United States, and internationally. So again, while we welcome today's decision, we retain those concerns, and we will continue to advocate for reforms to these problematic laws in both countries. We also call urgently for Mr. Assange to be released without further delay. We urge the judge to grant bail without any further delay in this, as he faces serious health risks in Belmarsh prison now, with COVID infections sharply on the rise in his prison block. If anything happens to him, well, he should now be released. It is fully the UK's legal and moral responsibility. So we call again for his immediate release. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I know I said I was finished, but can I address address access issues, because actually what we faced this morning was outrageous. So many of you know our position about open justice restrictions in this case. We have documented extensive and involving barriers to open justice since day one of this case. This is why we've been the only NGO to systematically monitor, because we've been left to fight our way in at every step, and this was only possible thanks to the support of this community of grassroots activists. The public stepped in where this court failed to recognize the role of professional NGO observers in ensuring scrutiny of these proceedings and ensuring open justice. But this morning, at the last hurdle, we were out here before 5 a.m. this morning and faced extensive police pressure. For the first time in my 15-year career, I repeatedly faced the threat of arrest this morning in attempting to get into a court to do my job, to monitor a case of concern. This is unacceptable in the United Kingdom in 2021. So there are also broader issues here of open justice that must be addressed. Proceedings in any case of public interest must be open to scrutiny by the media, by NGOs such as myself, professional observers that do this in countries around the world, and by members of the public. The restrictions we saw in this trial were unacceptable. So we will continue to advocate for reforms to open justice too in the United Kingdom. Thank you.